Obituaries is brought to you by Curtis and Son Funeral Home, the North Chapel on Highway 21 in Sylacauga, and the Childersburg Chapel on Highway 280 in Childersburg. For pre-need funerals, burials, and cremations since 1975, Curtis and Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg. Michael Ray Sasser, age 49, of Sylacauga, died yesterday in Jacksonville, Florida. Curtis and Son Funeral Home, North Chapel, will direct that service. And Gene and Mary Sasser, that's his mom and dad. Our condolences to them and the rest of that family. Knew Cheese for a lot of years and suffered a massive heart attack a few days ago and just could not recover. Michael Ray Cheese Sasser, age 49, of Sylacauga, died yesterday. Curtis and Son Funeral Home, North Chapel, will announce the arrangements. Funeral service for David Wilson will be Saturday at 1 o'clock from Community Funeral Home Chapel in Sylacauga. Visitation is today, 1 until 7 o'clock at the funeral home. Community Funeral Home directing. Pavey Lynch Dark. Funeral service will be Monday, June the 28th at 1 p.m. from Community Funeral Home Chapel, with burial in the Pleasant Hill Baptist Church Cemetery. Visitation at the funeral home on Sunday from 1 until 7, Community Funeral Home Sylacauga directing. Ronnie Bullard, age 63, died June 23rd. Graveside service 2 o'clock Saturday at Pine Hill Memorial Park with Jerry Colquitt officiating. There will be a visitation for the extended family and friends from 12:30 until 1:30 on Saturday prior to the graveside at Ursery Funeral Home in Talladega. Ronnie was a native and lifelong resident of Talladega and a member of the Bemiston Baptist Church. Online condolences at urseryfuneralhome.com, Ursery Funeral Home, Talladega directing. Celebration remembering the life of Mrs. Melvisa H. Mallory, age 40, of Talladega, is Saturday at noon from S.M. Goodson Funeral Home Chapel, and the Reverend Bobby Welch officiating. Interment in the Mount Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Church Cemetery. Public viewing for Ms. Mallory will be today, 2 until 7 o'clock at the funeral home. S.M. Goodson Funeral Home and Crematory directing. Celebration remembering the life of Mr. William Boot Powell, age 64, of Talladega, will be Saturday at 3 p.m. from S.M. Goodson Funeral Home in Talladega, with Minister Frank Jones officiating. There will be no public viewing for Mr. Powell today. And, there is a public viewing today. There is a public viewing scheduled for today for Mr. Powell. That'll be at S.M. Goodson Funeral Home Chapel from 2 until 7 this afternoon. S.M. Goodson Funeral Home and Crematory, Talladega directing. Celebration of life for David Lee Big Daddy Wilson, age 85, is Saturday at 1 o'clock from Community Funeral Home Chapel. Reverend Raymond Terrell officiating. Visitation today, 1 until 7 at the funeral home. Big Daddy Wilson was born August 3rd, 1935. Online condolences at communityfuneralhome.org. Community Funeral Home in Sylacauga in charge of the arrangements. Graveside service for Benny Curry, age 69, at 1 o'clock was held. That was yesterday, and Terry's Metropolitan Mortuary directed. Ruby Louise Hampton Osborne, age 87, died June 22nd. Funeral service today at 11 a.m. from Ursery Funeral Home in Talladega, with Tommy Strickland officiating. Online condolences at urseryfuneralhome.com, Ursery Funeral Home, Talladega directing. In obituary news this morning, funeral service for Ruby Louise Hampton Osborne, age 87, is today at 11 a.m. from Ursery Funeral Home Chapel. Ursery Funeral Home, Talladega directing. Celebration remembering the life of Mr. Cordell Spooky Williams, age 77, of Talladega, is today at 11 a.m. from S.M. Goodson Funeral Home Chapel with the Reverend Matthew Leonard officiating. Public viewing was held yesterday, S.M. Goodson Funeral Home and Crematory directing. Mr. Ken Travius Moon, age 22, died June 15th. Graveside service is today at Pine Grove Baptist Church Cemetery in Dadeville at 1 o'clock with the Reverend G.H. Pullum officiating. Vines Funeral Home in Lafayette, Alabama, in charge of the arrangements. Celebration of life for Ella Sue Nivens Patterson will be Wednesday, June 30th at noon from Trinity Episcopal Church in Clanton. Curtis and Son Funeral Home, North Chapel directing. And funeral service for Mr. Tony Mitchell, age 82, of Sylacauga, will be this morning at 10 a.m. from First United Methodist Church in Sylacauga, with burial in the Evergreen Memorial Cemetery. Online condolences at CurtisandSonFH.com. Curtis and Son Funeral Home, North Chapel directing. Funeral service for Ms. Teresa Learns will be today at Wright's Funeral Home Chapel in Alexander City. And that service will be held at noon. Professional service provided by Wright's Funeral Home. Graveside service for Ms. Sunday Jones is today from 4 until 6. And a funeral service will be Saturday at New Style Baptist Church Cemetery. Graveside service, Wright's Funeral Home directing. Funeral service for Mr. Ronald Wade Vickers, age 76, of Alexander City, is today at noon from the Chapel of Radley Funeral Home. Reverend Wayne Cowhick officiating. Burial in the Hillview Memorial Park in Alexander City. The family will receive friends this morning, 10:30 until 11:45 at Radley Funeral Home. Mr. Vickers died Monday, June 21st at Brown Nursing Home in Alexander City. He was a member of the Alexander City Methodist Church, Radley Funeral Home directing. And Mr. Bobby Withers, age 84, of Alexander City, died June the 20th at his residence. Funeral service Saturday at 11 a.m. from Armour's Memorial Funeral Home in Alexander City. Burial in the Alexander City Cemetery. Visitation is tonight, 4 until 7, at the funeral home, Armour's Memorial Funeral Home directing. Funeral service for Mr. Larry F. Jones, age 49, of Goodwater, is 2 o'clock Saturday at St. John AME Church in Goodwater. Burial in the church cemetery. Visitation is today, 4 until 7, at the funeral home. Final arrangements entrusted to Armour's Memorial Funeral Home. Visitation Saturday for Kathleen Nolan Vault, age 72, of Sylacauga. That visitation will be Saturday morning at St. Jude Catholic Church in Sylacauga, beginning at 10 a.m. Mass will follow with Father Joseph at 11 a.m. In lieu of flowers, memorial contributions can be made to the B.B. Comer Library or the Sylacauga Arts Council. Radley Smith Funeral Home, Sylacauga directing. And finally, Mrs. Barbara Marie Burks, age 72, died June 23rd. Funeral service will be held Saturday at Raglan Methodist Church with the Reverend Glenn Horn and the Reverend Tim New officiating, chairman in the Raglan Methodist Church Cemetery. The family will receive friends Saturday, 1 until 2 at the church. Online condolences at earthstreetfuneralhome.com, Earth Street Funeral Home in Pell City. in charge of the arrangements. This look at obituaries this morning, courtesy of Curtis & Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg.